This is Jason Unruhe, the Maoist rebel political commentator and third worldist communist, wishing solidarity to the ongoing black national liberation struggle. I'm going to be real with you, in particular with two things. I want to express my solidarity to DeadManAnimations, and I also want to express something directly to them. I did a 5-part series on anti-colonialism, and in the first video and the 5th video I referenced DeadManAnimations, not by name because it took me a while to grasp where he was actually coming from. I referred to Deadman as what appeared to be some type of satanic Marxist on YouTube who also happens to be black. At least that's what it looked like to me. And spoilers, Deadman is not the same person as Glassno. That would be an insult to Deadman to even make that comparison. Now, I mentioned that I found the dead Satanist suspicious. That is no longer the case. As a matter of fact, I can now say that I definitely respect him.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a hostage situation. Remain calm, do not attempt to leave your boxes, and don't try to change the system or there'll be recriminations. We have your taxes and we're not afraid to use them. We hold your rights and we're not afraid to abuse them. We know where you live, so put your hands above your head and agree with everything we've ever done or said. Now vote for wars, now vote for pay, cause you wanna keep that minimum wage job. Then keep your mouth shut, get back in line. You're wasting time, you're sick, hungry, tired, not our problem, now you're fired. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a terrorist act. So lock your doors and windows, live in fear under the bed. One day your boogeyman just might attack. It could be yellow, brown, could be black or white. Might be your friend, neighbor, husband, or your wife. You can't trust anyone except for us, of course. So buy 100 guns, prepare to barricade your doors. Stock up on fear, stock up on hate. Watch only government-approved TV, boy, what's that? Sounds near the window, someone is near. They're shooting blood and sirens, oh my god, the terrorists are here. Go back to sleep, your government is in control. Watch more TV, then get some little shiny toys. And there's another war to keep you on the street. Why you buy, and never question why. Go back to sleep, your government is in control. Go back to sleep, your government is in control. Go back to sleep, your government is in control. Lie, and never question why. What's it gonna be? Do we get bigger hearts or bigger locks? Time's up. 3, 2, 1. Lose this war, freedom for security. Get me to one. Ladies and gentlemen, it's all a communist plot. And all these hippie commie union loving left-wing leaning pinko bleeding hearts should be taken out and shot. All this free speech is doing no one any good. They're saying what they want, not saying what they should. They're giving rights to women, blacks and gays too. All people, it just won't do. Where will it end? Where will it stop? If everyone has right to work in sweatshops, who be our whipping boys? Who be our whores? Who from our floors? Who fight our never-ending wars? Attention shoppers, this is a public service announcement.
Due to the recent acquisition of your country's CEOs, we'll be replacing your governments.
Time to get rid of all the dead, whatever freeloaders. There are no citizens, just taxpayers, shareholders. We need profits to go up, wages to fall. So you're either with us or you're up against the wall. We're on the system, we brand your children. We own your nation, now you're sponsored by the corporations. You wanted safety, you wanted wealth, well now you're free to buy everything except freedom itself, except freedom itself, except freedom itself. So go back to sleep, your government is in control. Watch more TV, look at some little shiny toys, and here's another war to keep you all distracted while you buy, never question why. Go back to sleep, your government is in control. Go back to
Deadman made a heavy criticism of me in his series. Unlike almost every other criticism I get, this set of criticism has some merit. But many of these are very flawed in several cases. Are founded upon heavy rumor and guessing. Some of these criticisms are total misunderstandings. I have spoken openly about settler colonialism. I do so a lot more openly. It is true that we need to deconstruct the First World. But let me make something clear. I am not the conduit of white leftism. On Deadman's part on this is more of a misunderstanding. In part, it's sort of my own fault. Sort of. A lot more has been at play than might appear right now, but this was never what I intended. And by the end of this video, I hope there could be a better understanding. While you have been making these videos of me, I was trying to figure out how I was going to explain to my real audience that I never intended to attract toxic nosballs or stressors that think they are entitled to a toxic parasitical relationship with me that I never consented to. There's also a series of serious semantics issue here. The part of the criticism that holds the most weight is my debate with Spencer. It was painful to watch the 3-part series. I actually had to go back and watch it more than once. I had already intended to do an anti-colonialism series shortly after that debate with Spencer because the debate did not go right. Anarcho-Pac started a fight with me, and this person has constantly done wrecking work, and I am not, nor have I ever been transphobic. This is something he's invented in his own mind. And it seems that you just recently figured this out. You do not pay attention. I have always been openly bisexual, and I am not a self-hating bi. I do not expect you to type this in my comment section when I announced to everyone that the Black Internationalists had returned. Deadman says in my comment section, I didn't know you were such a big fan. This is really cool, Jason. You see, Deadman, that was, for me, the first step in a real dialogue between you and me. Long before this, you went to the comment section of Intersectional Maoist channel, who, by the way, is an actual symbol of white leftism. Just so you know, he attacked non-European comrade of mine by the name of Neil Jacobin, even making fun of his voice for some reason. Down in the comments section, you wrote this line in the Intersectional Maoist video titled Anti-Unruhe. Nice video, yeah, Jason's really fallen off. I actually made a video series relating his anti-white videos and his debate with Richard Spencer. Definitely check it out. I saw this long before you commented in the video I made to the Black Internationalists, so yes, I found you suspicious. There are several individuals and groups trying to deplatform me simply because the natives, New Africans, and Jewish lumpen that I am doing my best to platform speak in the same vulgarization that I do. Comrade number 3 of the Navajo Nation hates identity politics because he sees it as a weaponization against the national liberation struggle. I hold the same view that he does.
From the Indians who welcome the pilgrims, and to the buffaloes who once ruled the plain. Like the vultures circling beneath the dark clouds, looking for the rain, looking for the rain. Just like the cities that stagger on the coastline, and a nation that just can't stand much more. Like the forest buried beneath the highway, never had a chance to grow, never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter, winter in America. Yes, and all of the healers have been killed, sent away. Yeah, but the people know it's winter. Winter in America, and they nobody knows what to say. Save your soul, Lord knows, from winter in America. The Constitution, a noble piece of paper, with free society, the struggle but they died in vain. And now democracy is a ragtime on the corner, hoping for some rain. They look like either hoping for some rain. And I see the robins perched in barren treetops. They're watching last-ditch races marching across the floor. But just like the peace sign that vanished in our dreams, never had a chance to grow. Never had a chance to grow. And now it's winter. It's winter in America. And all of the healers have been killed or betrayed. Yeah, but the people know it's winter. Lord knows it's winter in America. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. Save your soul from a winter in America. Stick. And now it's winter. Winter in America. And all of the healers done been killed, sent away. Yeah, the people know it's winter. Winter in America. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows. And ain't nobody fighting, 'cause nobody knows what to say.
I'm making this video to self-criticize for having committed acts of liberalism. I was wrong, and I need to not only acknowledge what I did, but to atone for what I did as well. To hear incorrect views without rebutting them, and then even to hear counter-revolutionary remarks without reporting them, but instead to take them calmly as if nothing happened, this is a sixth type. I am wholly guilty of this in my debate with Richard Spencer. I was wrong. I should have said certain things, given certain answers that I did not give. When it comes to the immigration issue, I should have mentioned the difference between immigration in a socialist country and a capitalist country. that in socialism, once poverty is eliminated, people won't want to immigrate. They won't have the economic compulsion to immigrate away from their country and go to another one. I should have said that. And with regards to immigration to America, I should have given a full third worldist position, but I didn't, because I was concerned about what first worldists would have done to me, which turned out to be a meaningless worry because they did it anyway, immediately going out the same night and doxing me, and again, sending messages to my landlord trying to get me kicked out of where I live. I should have answered that my position, the third worldist position on immigration, is to refuse to let skilled labor immigrate to the first world. That they should be made to stay in the third world and serve their own communities, and perhaps even be sent to some kind of re-education camp to remind them of why it is they need to serve the people. Instead, to send criminals, send gang members to the United States, give them guns and push them over the border into the U.S. The more chaos there is in the imperialist core, the more likely it is to collapse. And when the U.S. society collapses, imperialism will go along with it. I should have said that, but I didn't, because I was afraid of what would have been done to me as a result. I should not have had that concern. I should have said what I meant. But I didn't. I succumbed to liberalism in that case, of which I am guilty. I didn't. I failed, and that was my mistake. And that is something that I will try not to do in the future. So I am deliberately, outright criticizing myself for liberalism that I am guilty of. And I apologize to you, my audience, because I should not have done it. I went back to watch my video criticizing myself for liberalism shortly after rewatching Dead Man's series on me. I saw this in the comments section. As you can see, the comment reads, "I respect you for posting this. We all make mistakes, but another thing is to be held accountable for those mistakes." Implying I wasn't, but I digress. It was at the point that I realized I had to make this video. You see, by the end of part 3 of Dead Man's Jason Under video, he shows me criticizing myself. It may be go back and watch the video, then I saw that I missed this comment. Now I realized that in a certain way Dead Man was reaching out to me. I have already said his criticism of me had some merit. But Dead Man, your criticism of me is flawed. Had the Boondisher Comrade number 3 reached out to me sooner, perhaps I would not have failed in my debate with Spencer. The silenced voices are coming to me because no one else will hear them. But how long can I protect my platform so that they can be heard, regardless of whether it is my fault or not? There are many who are trying to shut me down.
eye on the passers-by, better watch your step. Cause you never know where the knife will go and they ain't missed yet. The strong survive, they stay alive, they're always cool. But that they never teach you in school. Are you man enough, big and bad enough? Are you gonna let them shoot you down? When the evil flies and your brother cries, are you gonna be around? Someone needs a friend just around the bend. Don't you think you should be there? Are you man enough when the going gets rough? Is it in your heart to care? Are you man enough? Big and bad? Are you big and bad enough? Are you gonna let them shoot you down when the evil flies and your brother surprise? Are you gonna be around? Are you man enough? Big and bad enough?
Comrade number 3 of the Navajo Nation wanted to give a message to Deadman concerning the situation in Arizona. This is a recording that he gave to me to play for both Deadman and the general audience.
I am Comrade number 3 of the Navajo Nation, head supervisor of the socialist group known as PSFM. There are several socialist groups here in Arizona as well as the entire United States. Such groups as ourselves remain quiet and invisible to other groups such as the communist groups. Such groups of the communist groups include the Marxist and anarchist groups. The Marxist groups chose to associate themselves with the Maoists, which would later extend to the hand of the Marxist-Leninists. The anarchists that reside here in Arizona go by the Anarchist Rebellion, or the Arizona Rebellion, forgive me. This group consists of the anarcho-syndicalist squatters as well as the Black Flag rebel squatters. To summarize everything, there are 4 individuals here that are considered third worldist in Arizona. These 4 individuals come from black origin or African descent, more so, in a way that would kind of describe them myself. I say this to protect their identities in a time that identity is used to stop the progression of truth. Speaking of identity, many people are attacking identities because of the truth. And yet they use their mistakes because those who dwell on mistakes are not ready to progress to a future. People have made mistakes. And for this, some will learn, and some don't. In such mistakes, they choose in the higher power to choose another truth that you weren't seeking. That is not a mistake on you or them, but a mistake of the universe. For one seeks another story and they intertwine doesn't mean that their stories are false. It just means there's different truths and different answers we all seek. I talked to you today about identity and truth because my local friend, a damn good friend of mine, Jason Unruhe, a man that platforms MRN, the one that exposes and platforms truth that no one will ever even agree to talk about. This man has been putting himself through hell and back, even though he is chasing stories from all around and no one gives him leads, but he's exposing truths that no one will ever find. The slander and everything comes from people who don't understand and those who are not willing to understand. You're pathetic. You're weak. You don't understand what's going on in this world because you choose to believe the ideas that someone fed you. Seek your own truth and find your own answers. One source is not reliable. This world's forever changing. It's either you grow up and see where your mistakes fall into this, or seek the truth and keep fighting for it, whatever it takes. We're all in this together if everyone doesn't understand that. That person next to you, that person that you may call a brother or sister, a friend, a family, acquaintance, they are ones that help you keep that butter on your table, the food on your table, the clothes on your back. You're no longer living to live. You're not even living to survive. You're struggling. For this, I say, listen, seek out, reach to your neighbor. In times where everyone is against each other, this is a time to reconcile and start anew. The Native Americans and the First Nations, basically the Native Americans and the indigenous of the lands, They need to get their land back. They need their solidarity. We need to decolonize every state. To be one step closer to being free is to one step back in our timeline. In a time where we were free, we were occupied. Once we were occupied, our freedom was stripped. And we started living to survive, not to live. MRN exposes and platforms truth. There are many groups out here in Arizona that are being under attack. And for a man that's exposing the truth and is getting deplatformed for honesty, what's next? He's protecting something you're not willing to stand up for. Once he's gone, you're next. We're all next. This man is reliable. There's things behind the scene that no one even chooses to look at. And if you're the ones in the comment reading this, and I hope you hear this, you're a piece of shit. There are people doing what you choose and wish to do. You are what this world wants you to be, a wad of gum being chewed up and spit out every fucking moment it has. I am comrade number 3, and I stand for the people. The people who are not heard, the people who are working and not getting anything back, the people who are making barely ends meet, busting their ass and losing their lives for this. And for the people that are being assimilated, losing who they are. This is my message. Stay true. Seek the truth. Don't listen to one person. Find the truth for yourself. This is comrade number 3.
Comrade number 3 is describing the weaponization of identity politics. Third worldism has nothing to do with whiteness. And to many groups such as the Jewish Bundist diaspora movement and Comrade number 3's organization of PSFM, third worldists are much more in touch with them than any type of Marxist or anarchist. By the way, Bundists and Jewish socialists are against the state of Israel. Anyway, there will be links in the description for people to go and check out. I'm going to try to quickly go over a few more points. The first is that I would rather Deadman and I become comrades, but it is highly unlikely that he would want to embarrass himself by associating with me regardless of who MRM is now platforming, not after making me out to be so, well, white. But maybe. The only defense of the lumpen in Arizona I have left is to risk things by showing everyone that I too am vulnerable. As a third worldist, I hate doing that because it just comes off as victim playing. The video I did on my 23andMe DNA result was I was deliberately trolling Nazi scumfucks who always claim that I am Jewish. I don't understand how that couldn't have come off as anything more than a joke. It doesn't make sense in any other context. As far as Black Red Guard goes, he wrote a defamatory piece on me on third worldism, which isn't even true. The part about that hurts that so much is that Black Red Guard is just the sort of person I back, that being a street-level person.
Disorder. Chaos. Anarchy. Now that's fun. Look at that, I know!
I'm going to do my best to quote Deadman. People like Jason are not interested in dealing with the real threat of the right, but articulating the fact that the right exists and that they are rising. If Jason truly cared about this rising right-wing phenomenon, he would put his ego in check. He would deal with people in his own home state as well as the continent he finds himself locked into, that there is real work to be done, and that Jason finds himself fixated on online discourses rather than getting offline and dealing with the material world. This is not a matter of weak ideology or fear of debate. The problem is persons like Jason who arrogantly believe that their methods are somehow true methods and are somehow revolutionary tactics, despite the fact that criticism of their very behavior is treated as some type of grand liberalism conspiring against them. This entire mindset is false, and if one thing is demonstrated to the entire race and communism series, it's referenced in this. And then it switches to a clip of me saying this.
I'm not afraid to debate ideas. I will go out there and debate. I debated Sargon. I debated our socialism.
Deadman then goes further to say, these persons can only exist in these spaces. Left-wing work is real work. It is much easier to be online than to have your ideology than actually get offline and challenge your beliefs. Well, see, the problem is I don't live in the United States. It's hard for me to get to protests, and I live in a very small area, and it's hard for me to get, frankly, anywhere. But that is also why I'm working on getting a new microphone to cover people out in the masses. I've already started using a lower quality microphone, but I still need to get a better one so I can talk to people out in the open. There's a lot to cover with these protests and the pandemic that I look forward to covering. The issue I have is transportation. I'm not a middle class or petty bourgeois, as so many people like Deadman have come to assume. I've bounced in between labor aristocrat and lumpen, usually stuck in the consumer service class. As a part-timer, I don't really make much money off of YouTube. So I apologize for not being out in public as much as you very clearly are. My part-time job puts me at a disadvantage. I have to be very careful. This may surprise you, but when I cover serious issues, it does put me in a bad place, as my real name is now permanently attached to criticizing the system and is going to screw me for any kind of jobs that I have in the future. And now that I have revolutionaries contacting me, I have to protect my platform, because people I am now covering won't be heard by anybody else. These are mostly lumpen revolutionaries, have tried to get on Democracy Now!, RT, The Real News Network, PBS Hour, and no one is listening to them.
Say that, did you hear the news? Psycho worked at trimming shoes. Then say he was a traveling man. Pushed his car around with his hand. Two good men a long time gone. Psycho and man said he are gone. Two good men a long time gone. Let me hear to sing this song. Psycho born across the sea. Somewhere over one day, landed over in Boston Bay, then they sailed the ocean.
You will find that in the description of this video are 4 links. The first link will take you to my video on Sakaiism and Gonzaloism. The second link will bring you to Deadman's playlist where I am criticized. The third will take you to a playlist that I have made on anti-colonialism. The fourth will take you to the finale of Deadman's These Very Words, somewhat corrected errors of my own political line. And now I will finish with Deadman's dialectical explanation of the first world, that is, the white lie.
This series should highlight the exact reasons why whiteness is a problem and why it is not okay to be white. Whiteness is not a real thing. One is not truly white, but is made white in reference to one's capital relationships, and especially given the reality of settler colonies. In settler colonies, white identity is a demarcation of legitimacy and is one that separates whites from non-whites. It is for this reason that if one is to truly be anti-racist and fight white supremacy, one must find themselves actively challenging those systems as they exist. Here are solutions to dealing with whiteness. If you find yourself in a position where you identify as white, stop. You are not white. Fighting white supremacy, especially as a person of fair skin who has been told their whole life that they are white by their media, by their society, and by people as close to them as their family and friends. To challenge white supremacy is to betray that entire culture, to betray white supremacy. For fair-skinned persons who have been categorized as white, your job is the same as any other person in this racial system. That if you are to truly deal with white supremacy, you must unpack your whiteness.
Who's the real big bad wolf in this story?
The white man! Yeah!
This does not mean you engage in a form of self-hatred for something you have no control over, your skin tone. No. You engage in the liberatory process of detaching yourself from white supremacy and white identity. This means actually dealing with European history, not as a tale of successes, but of a monumental failure to deal with its own internal contradictions. One that spread a colonial violence around the world, and one that has fundamentally never addressed its own internalized contradictions. This is how one addresses white supremacy, not just in the settler colonies, but in the European whole. This is focusing on white behavior and action, and not non-white trauma. Rather than focusing on the pain and suffering of black and brown bodies, but to focus on the pain inflicted by white persons and their economic behavior. To truly deal with whiteness is to deal with what white supremacy and capitalism has done to the fair-skinned person, not only in the European core, but in its settler colonies and all around the globe. This is the fight and struggle against white supremacy, and it is one that is difficult, but must be undertaken. In conclusion, whiteness is a lie. There are no white people, just like there are no black people. There are only those rendered black by white supremacy and those rendered white by white supremacy. A divide and conquer tactic to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. And to undermine that system, one must take revolutionary steps to deal with white supremacy. This is what it takes to be a revolutionary.